but there are a number of corrections that I have to make to the minutes
Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
from last time. Superintendent, I could save these for the end if that, so that
There's Brian.
you want to save them for the end, Jill, or do it now?
No, let's just do that now. We'll
All
get it out of the way.
All right, page one, the superintendent's update. Second paragraph, line 5, just not a big, it should be a comma after the word registered.
Okay.
Second line from the bottom, the word that has to come out. Mr. Collins feels that if MYHA can conduct their regular season, even under COVID guidelines, that the second that comes out.
Okay.
Next page. Down towards the bottom, after further discussion, Jim Drucker, Recreation Commission Chairman, made a motion for the Recreation Commission. The word "to" has to come out.
Yep.
Paragraph after that, comma after the word ice.
Okay.
Now, superintendent's update on the next page, that's got a few that, is that public record?
Yeah, everything in that packet.
Okay, then third line, we will try, it should be, we'll try to offer as many programs. Not we'll try and offer. Paragraph 2, the apostrophe comes out of the word attendance. It's not a possessive. We still have part-time attendance on duty.
Attendance.
Line below that, a comma after the word place. Next page, only 3 more.
Oh.
Paragraph 3, line 2, the most current issues should be revolve around, not resolve around. Paragraph 5, line 1, comma after the word recall. Fourth line, comma after the word reopening. Line under that, we hope that it should be our IT department, not we hope that out IT department. Next page, the first paragraph, starting with the words necessary equipment.
Yep.
You got 2 onlys in there. The cameras that would be installed covering the ice would be set down by us
Oh,
to only be on only during the times we schedule. I would yank the second only.
Yep.
Sorry to be picky, but
That's okay.
all right. With that, I move to accept the minutes as amended.
Second.
Okay. All right, we'll jump onto the update. Obviously, these go back a few weeks now since, unfortunately, I'm sorry, we had to reschedule a few times. And I apologize and thank everybody for their flexibility. Included in this particular first packet, I did include a lot of our fall program information, fall flyers, just to give you an idea of some of the activities that we've been sponsoring this fall. We also put together a video of some of our programs. We've done this in the past. We did it in the summer. We've been trying to keep an update of a little video set to music. That's also on our website that shows some of the programs and the adults participating, the kids participating in the programs at our various facilities. So if you haven't had a chance, check out our website. Those are also up there. But unfortunately, what's happening now is our fall programs are ending. And we're going to be needing to try and move any of our programs that we can inside, but we're very limited on our indoor space, for one. And 2, what we're finding is, a lot of people obviously aren't ready to move inside yet. So the senior center at the VFW building has been under construction. It should be reopening in the next few weeks. So that will give us an indoor location that's fairly large, in the large meeting room will be available. We can potentially do some limited programming in the community room, the ice rink, but that's certainly not as large as the hall in the VFW Senior Center. So we will be trying to do some full programming, but I can tell you right now, it's certainly going to be limited because of space and the conditions and just people not willing to move inside. So you'll see more of that coming up. It is the time of year where Memorial Park is starting to close up. Technically, we do try to close early November with the courts. We do say the end of August, November 1st, but traditionally, as long as the weather's been good, we do leave them open as long as we can, an extra week or two. Just for example, it looks like it's supposed to be very nice this weekend. So we'll keep the courts open at least through the weekend, and we'll just go from there as to how long the weather cooperates with those courts. But if you remember, I mean, we made them free and available all spring, all summer, and the fall to residents. It went very well. People were really happy with that. And I think the only big problem going forward now is everybody will kind of expect that next year, but we'll deal with that when it comes. Our preseason hockey clinic actually began in September. That's concluding, and we're actually ready to start this Saturday with our house league hockey program for youth. We currently have a registration of 71 as of today. Just to give you an idea, this exact date last year, we had 84 registered. So we are down a little bit, but actually considering the conditions, to have 71 right now is very good.
Good.
We potentially could take more, but if you recall, we are still limiting the group size to 50 at the ice rink, and that includes staff. So we probably could take a few more, but we have to watch the numbers, because we do realize, especially with the younger kids, that parents will need to also be in the rink, and they'll have to be counted in that number. So we hopefully can get a few more into that house league hockey program, but we'll probably be pretty close to the mid 70s when it's done. So we had our Halloween drive-through trick-or-treat event yesterday. I think probably everybody saw Jane's email. And this was just
I would like to say something about this,
Sure.
if I may interrupt.
Yes.
Well, as usual, the recreation department working with the fire department did an outstanding job. I think we had about 800 cars driving through, and each of the departments had a booth and they dressed up. And the thing I want to stress to everybody is this is not something that came from the town administration and we told them to do this. The recreation department and the fire department, I don't know who said what to who, because none of us knew, decided that they wanted to do this event. They all worked their tails off. I mean, I don't know if any of you were there to see the booths and how beautiful they were. And so they all worked on their own time to do this. And the whole staff of the town came out on a Saturday, and they were not paid extra to do this. I mean, Steve can tell you how much it costs the town, if anything, maybe for the police overtime to direct traffic. But we have such an incredible staff in the town that they all just spontaneously decided to do this, knocked themselves out making these booths fabulous because they felt bad for the kids, and worked all day Saturday. I mean, I don't know how you could ever ask for any more out of that from any town staff. And I have to say, to thank Steve for fostering that kind of environment where people want to work like that for the municipality. And I venture to guess that most of the staff doesn't even live in the town. I don't know, to be honest, but it was just amazing. And you know, you just couldn't ask for more.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, the board, everybody volunteered their time, like Jane said, and we had well-organized lines of cars just funneling into a steady stream throughout the parking lot there across the street from the park for about 2.5 hours straight. And it was just car after car of loads of kids, and the parents were in costume, and just so many happy, appreciative people that, yeah, the guess is between at least 800 to 1,000 cars.
Wow.
I have to say also, but like even the candy, I don't think that came out of the town budget, right? You guys all got your own candy to get up.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Well, thank you. That's so
spent on their
Bravo. Bravo here.
I mean, it's really, if you think about any entity doing that, the staff doing that, it's unheard of.
Well, we wanted to do something like we did at Easter with the fire truck that would involve the kids, since we felt they probably, a lot of them couldn't go out or wouldn't be able to go out and trick or treat. So we wanted to once again try to provide something for the kids that was in a safe environment. And you really couldn't get much safer than that. We had chutes and lacrosse sticks, and we had grabbers as we were handing things out, and it really just was a safe activity for the kids that just parents were just thrilled with. So
People waited online 45 minutes to drive through.
Yeah, I have to say it was like amazing in every way. I unfortunately was one of those people that had to get to the train on Saturday. So I would say for next year, definitely plan that. I mean, it was amazing on all levels, except if you weren't involved in the parade.
right, yeah, you really
I
were
want to be
limited.
conscious of that for next season.
Yeah,
There was one guy,
Hopefully it won't be like that next season.
there was one guy who actually came through the line, and you know how like if you get in the wrong place and you end up in like the Queens Midtown Tunnel when you didn't mean to go through the tunnel or over the bridge? This poor guy somehow got sucked in, and we, the town board, was the first booth, so the guy's like, get out of here.
yeah,
It
you were
was actually
you're in
pretty
it,
fun.
you were
Oh,
stuck,
dear.
but it was cool. It really was
It
nice.
was unbelievable.
Yeah, so thank you everybody again. It was a town event. The town board were dressed as judges, and administrator's office as skeletons and witches and Wizard of Oz. So everyone had a theme, and
Mario Brothers was the town clerk's office.
yeah, the Mario Brothers. So it was really neat. So
It was unbelievable.
and so I think there's some pictures on Facebook, and we'll get some stuff up here too this week. So I also wanted to just let you know that obviously, depending on where things go with COVID and the numbers, we are still planning on trying to do more at the rink besides hockey and ice rentals. We would certainly like to, if possible, consider trying to start at public sessions on some type of modified schedule, limited numbers. We'd certainly like to do the skating lessons if at all possible, but that's just something we'll have to kind of work towards and keep our fingers crossed that that's something that we'll be able to do. But it is kind of still in the back of our mind to offer that. Our ice rentals, since I think the last time we talked, are going well. With Maya, we have a little bit of the Greenwich Skating Club, little Greenwich Day. There's a men's league in on Wednesday night. So it's been productive. We've been making money. Maya is hoping to resume games. We have yet to hear that that's going to be allowed. So right now it's still low to no contact clinics and practices. So we'll see where that goes. As far as the high school, as of today, the latest is that there's still no word on whether high school hockey will happen. If it does, the earliest would be the end of November. No approvals have been given yet from the governor's office regarding how that's going to move forward. So we don't know whether the high school then would be renting ice or not. So we'll have to play that one by ear. Hopefully we hear more in the next coming weeks. We are going to be upgrading our software system with Vermont Systems. I know you've kind of worked with us through all of our issues over the last couple of years with registrations and online. So this fall, in December, we're going to be working to upgrade that. That'll move us to a cloud-based system. It'll be much easier for us to use. We could use it from any computer, and it will be easier for the users. So we're really excited about that. I know I had mentioned several months ago that Maria Gallagher, she's our assistant superintendent, would be retiring this year. Maria, due to COVID, basically made the decision to see the year out. However, the time has come that she has made her announcement that mid-January will be her last day. So Maria actually moved to Saratoga today. The moving van. So she just sent me some pictures about an hour ago of all the moving van arrived in Saratoga. So during the next few months till the end of the year, she'll kind of be commuting from Saratoga.
Wow.
Nice.
So we will certainly miss her, and we'll obviously have to make some adjustments next year when she leaves. But given COVID, I think we can all kind of pick up some of her programs at this point right now. Construction is moving on the locker rooms. If you noticed in the second packet, I did send you some photos. In addition to the first packet, you could see actually the walls are being framed out. You can even see plumbing. They're making the connection. That's the where you could see outside. The blacktop is being dug up. They're making the plumbing and the water connections. So you can actually see walls and things going in. So that's kind of exciting. But we are still looking at that project being a few months out yet. Just wanted to remind you, I think we've talked about this before, that obviously the Homics field was used very little this year. There were no spring sports, no summer usage. We do have some fall usage. The school is using the fields right now, Larchmont Soccer League. So a little bit of the Larchmont Youth Lacrosse. So at least it is getting some usage. But when we start talking about the revenue for the fields, obviously we're not going to have a whole lot of revenue on the fields coming in this year because people just were not using them. We obviously, the solar project, I think I had mentioned last time we met, is moving forward. I think the anticipated goal was that construction would start by the end of this year on the solar panels down at the ice rink. We have actually already started to collect some revenue that we'll show you in one of our revenue lines. And that's, I think, a monthly payment for housing the panels on the top of the ice rink. The good news is, if you saw in the packet, our insurance company has declared an act that our ice rink chiller mechanical failure was an accident. They are going to cover a good part of that. If you read through all of the emails and the correspondence, really, really great news. They're going to cover right now at this point in time, we've already received a check for $100,000. Wow. That will go to help cover the cost of repairs and towards some of the reimbursables with the rental equipment. Basically for a month, they're willing to cover. So the clock started September 20, in mid-September, I think, with the equipment. So we're actually into our second month, but the repairs have begun. We actually are waiting now on the actual chiller unit to come in. It has been ordered. We're hoping within another 2 weeks that'll arrive, get that installed. So we are hoping by the end of this month that we are back up and running with our own equipment. And at that point, we'll make arrangements to remove all of the rental equipment that we've got on site right now. So one of the good things with the insurance company as well, you probably saw that they've also agreed to provide us with lost income for the 1 month, which right now we're looking at less personnel costs for part-time people. We're looking at approximately $55,000 to $60,000 in lost income. So that's an additional check that would be cut to us. Plus, they've also agreed to provide reimbursement for some of the other expenses, such as, if you notice, we had to rent a fence to surround the chiller unit and the generator, the fuel additive. We had to buy some additional glycol to get it up and running. So these are all invoices that we've sent to the insurance company that they've agreed to provide some type of reimbursable for these expenses as well. So when we get all the checks coming in and everything said and done, we'll obviously share with you where we ended up with the revenue and what we're getting covered and the total expense when this is all said and done. So again, hopefully we can get rid of this equipment and start working off our own new chiller in the next few weeks. I did enclose in your packet some material from Live Barn. I know I've shared Live Barn with you before. Live Barn is basically a software program that comes into the ice rinks, provides a feed, cameras that would provide a feed so that subscribers could then pay a small fee monthly and be able to watch a hockey program, hockey practice, a hockey game. A lot of rinks have Live Barn now. This is from Maya. They've asked us to consider Live Barn. There's no expense to the town. They originally, we've talked about this for a while because they actually wanted to tap into the town's Wi-Fi and network, and we said absolutely not. That's not possible. So they're going to have to install all of their own wiring, cabling, their own networking. They would install a few cameras in the rink. We would just enable them during a Maya practice or a Maya game, or if it's a house program we wanted to do, we would enable the cameras. Therefore, parents, grandparents, anybody at home could actually watch the practice, watch the game. And the good news right now is what would be nice is that since we are limiting people from coming into the facility, it does give them an option to at least be engaged in what their kids are doing without being in the rink. So would anybody have any objection to some type of program? Again, there's no cost to the town. We would actually be able to make a little bit of money because we'd receive a percentage of the subscriptions that go back to our ice rink. So
Great, go for it.
yeah, I'm estimating, we're looking at maybe $500 a season in revenue. But if nobody has any objections, I'm going to pass
No, wonderful,
the
Jill.
agreement on to Bill Maker, our attorney. And then Steve will take a look at it and we'll try and get that signed and get that moving.
Sounds good.
But it is a nice service given the environment right now. And I did also want to include several emails that we received at the end of the summer. Just, nice thoughts, thank yous, comments, everything from the way the pool was run to the programs and camps. So there's a batch of emails that were in that packet as well, just from residents, just kind of sharing their positive comments on how we were able to provide services for them over the summer. So I'm going to move on to the next packet that went out this week then. And in that, we'll save the budget for last. I did include, again, like I said, some additional programs of the construction in the rink. So you got to see where we were at with that. There was also a stack of all new program flyers. Everything from the pool announcement with our pool rules, pool protocols. Just as a reminder, we're open now Tuesdays and Thursday evenings from 4 to 7. And we're also open on weekends, Saturdays and Sundays from 10 to 2. These are public session swim times. And during these times, we've also scheduled a lot of the programs that are also included in your packet. We've been able to basically resume swim lessons of all levels, from bubble babies to dolphins, a variety of youth and tot swim lessons, Barracuda triathlon program. We're trying to start a lifeguarding program, aqua jog and aqua zumba. Actually, as of today, almost, I think all of our programs aquatically are fully enrolled. So again, we're not running the numbers, the size sessions that we've normally done, but it's something. Just for an example, for Saturday swim lessons, we're full with 48 kids throughout the day. Dolphins, we're full with 15. Seahorses, we're full with 6 kids. The Thursday swim lessons are full with 24. Our aqua jog and our aqua zumba programs for adults, those are both full with 10 enrolled. So just about, I think, everything that we are offering right now, with the exception of lifeguarding, is fully enrolled for the fall season. So this revenue for the programs helps offset some of the expenses of opening the pool. As you know, the 4 days that we are open for the fall season, we know we're going to take a loss on that, but these programs that are running simultaneously with the public swim times
will help
to help offset that. So when the season's over and we actually see how we did, we'll provide a cost analysis on all that information. And this is basically what kind of the format we're using when we get into the budget as well. So I really wanted to just go over and save the biggest item, which is the budget, for last. And then Jim, I think you had something you wanted to raise after budget, unless anybody had anything else on my update or had any general questions. I thought we'd roll into the budget.
Sure.
Okay. Regarding this year's budget, I did provide, again, I know it's kind of a newer format than what you're used to. We did a new format last year. It was basically our new comptroller came in and redesigned everything, and It seems to work out really well. I know it's a different format than what you're used to. I did include in your packet some of the kind of the intro to the budget process that was put together by Steve and our comptroller, Tracy Yogman. That was basically put together as a presentation to Nancy and the board. But I think it was important to share with you because it does explain what goes into the budget, the challenges that we've all faced trying to put the budget together for 21, and just to basically provide you with the overall thought process behind this. I mean, this is tentative. I am meeting on Saturday with the town board to review all this. So, you know, any comments, critiques, suggestions that you have, it's certainly open for discussion tonight. But you know, Steve probably can say it better than me. This was been a real struggle of trying to guess how to come up with a budget, what our expenses are going to be, what's our revenue going to be, how do we make decisions based on things that we're just not even sure of. So I kind of thought it was more about explaining our thought process behind how we established the budget this year. And I think starting out, we are planning to be in a COVID environment for at least the first half of 21. What does that mean? That's, you know, I think reduced programming, reduced revenue. We've tried to reduce expenses, knowing we're going back into the winter and our options for programming and indoor spaces will be limited, knowing that if things do get worse, like they're saying, there is potential of some of our facilities and programs being canceled completely. So I think we were very conservative with our approach for January through June, and kind of following the format of what we used this year, of what we were able to do, what was our revenue this year, what were our expenses this year. Then we had kind of planned the second half of 21, assuming that things would be a little bit better, that we would have a little more programming, be able to do a little bit more, the numbers would grow. But again, that's everybody's guess. So that's, I think, what's been the challenge. But I know we've taken on a lot this year. I think between the pool and the rink, we made the decision that we knew we were going to take a loss in some of the stuff, but it was certainly something that everybody agreed that it was the right thing to do. And we're going to continue that into next year. And one of the things we'll present to you with the budget is basically how COVID is going to impact our numbers. So I just thought it was a really kind of interesting information that you could see. Obviously, we have a mandate. I think our tax cap was supposed to be no more than a 1.8% increase for the state. Recreation and the loss of some of the income that we would bring in certainly hurts the general fund for the town. But you know, we're going to keep trying to do as much as we can with our programs and our facilities. Better track with the rink if we can get back to our own equipment here in a month. And as long as the facilities can stay open, we certainly can potentially continue to make money. So I think it's hard to show you, but the packet that started out October 21st to the Honorable Nancy Seligson on page, what's called page 38, says Towneromarnick major revenue sources. I highlighted recreation because I thought this page was important just to tell you that in 21, as a result of the pandemic, the rec department revenues will be over 1.8 million, and we will anticipate funding roughly 73% of the department's operating budget. That is quite different than what you've seen from us in the past. As you could see, typically recreation revenues cover approximately 93% of all costs. So when we get into this, unfortunately, what you're going to see is our revenues will be down, our expenses will be down, but not to the same percentage as the revenue. So what this means is that the general fund will have to, as long as we continue to do what we're doing, is going to have to support us a little bit more than what we are typically used to. If you flip that page over, it's what's called page 58. This is an expense budget summary by department. I highlighted recreation. So this is a really good summary that Tracy and Steve put together on our expenses for recreation. You could see the first column is 2019 actual is the $2,748,000. The next column is our 21 adopted budget, followed by the third column would be our 21 budget. So you can clearly see, go across and see that we are decreasing our expenses by a little over $400,000, which is a decrease of over 13%.
Jill?
Yeah.
Just a quick question. When it says unallocated, almost at the bottom, what is that? What does that mean?
Unallocated expenses are things like liability insurance, employee benefits, those expenses that don't have a particular department but are allocated to the entire budget.
So this is the whole town, though. This isn't just recreation.
Right. No, I'm just curious, why they wouldn't specify, but that makes sense. Thank you.
So then if you flip over to the next page, this is the revenue, where you can then compare, obviously, our 19 actual revenue, our 2020 adopted plan for revenue, and our 21 budgeted revenue numbers. And you can see those are down by more than twice of what we said our expenses would be going down by. So we are looking at least a decrease in our revenue of $953,000, which is the 33%. Again, these are estimates based on what we think we could do, going through this year, help prepare us for next year. But it's our best guess going forward at this point. So this actually shows the rec department revenue and expenses. And then I did provide a lot of supporting documentation that's in this handout with the fancy cover. We're talking about our mission statement, our operating environment workload indicators. Again, this is the typical page that explains by the different breakdowns of our department of what we're providing: Memorial Park, the Homics Park Ice Rink, for the various services that we provide: the Homics Pool, general recreation, youth programs, adult programs. And then just as a reminder, we do make a financial contribution to Southeast Consortium and to the Co-op Day Camp. The next page talks about our 2020 accomplishments. We did accomplish a fair amount, obviously not as much as we normally do, but given the situation, the fact that we were able to provide the courts for free at Memorial Park for 3 seasons, and institute a online or a reservation system for those courts, that was new. Unfortunately, we did have to cancel most of our special events at the park: the movies, the concerts, the Fall Food Truck Festival, the Bunny Run. We did try to come up with some other special events when we had the Easter Bunny on the fire truck with the Halloween event. So we tried to offset some of this with some other programming. but obviously the revenue is not going to be the same. As far as accomplishments with 19, we are so proud of beginning the construction on the rink, on the locker rooms, I mean. We've dealt with the mechanical failure on the chiller equipment. But through all this, we've been able to reinstitute ice rentals and some programming during this time. We were able to get the pool open this summer, which was very successful and well received by the residents. That was no undertaking given our restrictions and even dealing with staff at times with COVID. So that was a real challenge, but I'm glad we did that, and to be able to open the program again this fall has worked out well, and the school's been very helpful in the fall program. They did give us a little break on some of our fees. They were charging us more than what we wanted to, but they negotiated with on the custodian cost for the pool for this fall, so that's helping us out. Unfortunately, we were not able to run our camp programs in the summer, but the programs that the staff did put together in lieu of camps was certainly a huge undertaking. Twice as much work, I think, for what we did, given the situation. And I know you saw some of the videos of the adult programs taking place in the park and how creative they were of fitness on the tennis courts, and we've resumed tennis lessons this fall. So given the situation, I think they've certainly accomplished a lot with the staff working so hard. We did include on the next page some of our goals for 21, which will be hopefully to go back to some of our normal programming at some point with the pool. If we can get back onto some type of regular schedule, and it looks like that we'll be able to keep the pool open for consistent basis, we will need to reestablish a pool permit system. So that's something that we'll have to put on our list. We talked about trying to resume some of our skating and public skate sessions with the ice rink. It will be our goal to reinstitute camps this summer. When we talk about we get into the youth programs a little bit more, we will talk about some of the camps. We did include expenses and revenue for the 2 preschool camps and the Homics camp. If you kind of dove into them, you'll see we did reduce the numbers drastically. I think, gone right now are the days of putting 450 kids in the Homics ice rink in the summer, and saying, no, this is great. So when we did budget camp for 21, I think we reduced the numbers in half, closer to maybe 250 kids. Monroe's been reduced. The preschools have been all reduced to around 50 to 60 kids, based on the information that we have now. Now, if that changes, obviously, and we can take more kids, there'll be money coming in from the revenue to offset some of the additional expenses for staff, equipment. So I think we're pretty comfortable right now with taking an educated guess that these numbers are doable if we're in the same situation. We did cancel, unfortunately, the teen travel program. We just don't see, even in 21, that we would be able to put 40, 50 kids on a school bus or even a coach bus and travel 2 or 3 hours to an amusement park each way, and then visit a park all day that we have no control over. So given the climate, that we just didn't think that was safe and something that we would be able to provide. So we did take that revenue and the expenses completely out. Unless something drastically changes, we could certainly think through that. But I know we worked so hard to get that program reestablished and get it built back up to where Vicki has the numbers now. But hopefully by 22, we'll be able to bring that back. The next page, is basically a summary of revenues. This is showing all of the different aspects of the revenue lines for recreation. So we have the Homics Fields, Memorial Park, the pool, the ice rink. There is a new line in there this year. It's called Ice Rink Rental Lease. That money is the money that's already coming in on the solar panels. We are starting to collect a monthly payment on that. So just so that we could track that money, that's going into that new line. Youth programs are all of the youth programs, including camps, and then there's adult recreation. So that shows all of our areas of different revenue lines. And this particular chart will show you the 2018 actuals, 19 actuals, what we budgeted in 20, where we're at 2020 to date, where we think we're going to end 2020, and what we're submitting for 21 budget. And then the best column there at the end really kind of clearly shows you the percentage of decrease in those lines. So it really shows a clear picture of everywhere that we unfortunately feel we are going to be down in our revenue. So our total revenue projections right now for 21 are being estimated at 34% decrease over last year. And then the next box is the summary of appropriations, or also our expenses. Again, great column where you're seeing our actuals for 18, 2019, 2020, 21. So all of these appropriations match the revenue. So you could see where our appropriations, we are making decreases wherever possible, but those decreases aren't matching the loss of the revenue that corresponds with each of those lines. Now you'll probably say, well, why is general rec up by 3%? That is the line that has full-time salaries in it. So we have union contracts. So we've got an obligation there. So there'll be that 3% increase covers that. You'll also see in ice rink.
That's not just the union contracts. That's all full-time employees, both non-union and union.
Oh, okay. Management is in there too, right? Yeah, sorry. So all full-time salaries. We also have the ice rink. You'll see that was an increase by 3%. If you remember when we knew we were going to do these locker rooms, that there would be additional costs. And when they are done and they're completed and we are open and they're usable, we have to remember that we now have waters for all these showers. We have all these toilets, and we're going to have to clean and maintain all of them. So we knew there would be anticipated additional expenses, utilities for this additional square footage. So we do have to account for the additional expenses when they do open. So, but all in all, you'll see a 13% decrease in our appropriations. So those are all of our major lines. We did provide some performance measures on the next sheet. Again, kind of disappointing for us when we measure our success in large numbers and participation. It's a little hard to swallow sometimes when we look at sponsors for our events were 0 because we didn't have any events at Memorial Park. Our pool attendance was down, obviously, drastically. The 16,000 is an estimate. I think we did around 12,000 this summer. Plus now that we're open again for the fall, we anticipate ending around that number. Our ice rink attendance, again, as an estimate. And 21, we're hoping to be able to start public sessions back up. But we know we're going to take a hit, depending on how we can get people back into our facilities and our programs. Pool permits issued, 0. Summer camp enrollment, 0. But you could see what we're anticipating for next year. We went from 710 youth participants in our U.S. sports programs to 170 this summer. And since we opened the courts free of charge at Memorial, we did not issue any tennis permits. So we have easy goals, hopefully, to meet and beat next year if things can turn around, hopefully, in time for the summer and the fall. So the next few pages that go into salaries, all of our part-time lines for all of the various facilities and the programs that we do. And the last few pages are really the line item budgets. They look like this. This is a more detailed breakdown of each of those lines that we talked about: general recreation, Memorial Park, the pool, the rink, youth programs, and adult programs. I mean, we can certainly go line by line. I think the overviews that we just covered provide a lot of details. If anybody has any questions, we can certainly go through each line item and talk about why a utility is up or down, operating supplies for each of the facilities. But I think we've kind of got a clear picture of what we're dealing with in 21.
Hey, Jill.
Yep.
Thanks for putting this all together and like going through this in detail. I know it's definitely very challenging to look at it, forecasting when we're going to come out of COVID, what we're going to be able to open up, how can we have more programs inside during the winter. So I really appreciate putting in all that time and trying to figure through everything.
Yeah.
So I think my only question would be if there's any on the revenue side, if there's anywhere where we can maybe flex up or just kind of like help on that revenue side, where maybe just participants might pay a little bit more, or I don't want to like be gouging anybody or trying to, but like some of it, like providing the tennis courts for free, and it's just I mean, there might be a demand, and so I think given that demand, like even looking at, you were mentioning the swimming programs, they're all filled now, so there's probably just residents are out there, they want to do these activities. Yeah. And I don't think we should kind of shortchange ourselves if we're able to, like flex up some of the rates just based on that demand. And there are some additional costs that we're experiencing from just having to sanitize more and having that cleaning staff available. So some of it, just the costs are higher.
Absolutely. And I think, speaking of tennis, like Memorial Park next year, I mean, I've already made the recommendation that we can't give away for free next year. I mean, it was really,
No.
COVID was new, it was something to do, but we can't do that. So there's, I think, revenue right there, not a lot, but you're talking, anywhere from 15 to 20,000, hopefully in tennis permit sales. And if anything, I think by giving it away free this year, a lot of people came down and used it and said, oh, this is great. So hopefully they'll now come back next spring, summer, and fall and say, yeah, I'm going to buy the permit. I mean, it's very reasonable to begin with. So
It
I
is.
think there's potential money there. I think we've kind of agreed that what we did for the pool this summer was really great, but the $5 entry fee might have been a little low. Some people felt that was fair. Some people felt it was too low. Some people, we are going with $10 right now, just because like you said, Brian, we've got a lot of expenses. We didn't know how long this was going to last. I think we now know this is going to be around for a while. So I think when we start looking at the pool fee for next summer, we definitely would probably need to bump that up. And that's something we've got some time to talk about. We're going to keep doing programs. We are doing shorter sessions of programs, because what we're trying not to do is do programs that are long lengthwise and over months, because one, we don't want to be giving money back if something goes wrong or we're forced to close down. We just don't want to be in that position again. And two, it helps the turnover so that everybody gets a shot into a program. And I think it allows us to get more sessions in and potentially collect a little bit more money by doing a little more turnover. I don't know many more ways that we can do some additional revenue streams. I think if we can get public sessions going and skating school going, that certainly will help the rink in addition to the rentals. Because you have to remember, our rentals are really good right now, but they're always really good. Once we start getting into spring ice, with the ice rink, that's a real quiet time for us. So we don't want to be sitting on a lot of ice in the spring that no one wants to rent, because hockey is starting to wind down, high school is winding down, Maya is winding down. So that's something we really want to make sure we've got a plan to get something else in the rink when that starts to slow down. If we can be open, obviously. But, we're open for suggestions. We are still not doing any group gathering that's larger than 50 people. So unfortunately, with that restriction right now, doing a big one-time event where it's easy and we make a lot of money in a short time is not going to happen for us at the moment.
No, I think that all makes sense. I like the idea of the shorter sessions, so that there's just a higher frequency, more people can get in there. Like you can have more people have access for short amounts of time, and it makes sense as far as just the structure in case that you do have to close it and you don't want to be giving back money. It's also a smaller amount for someone to pay at a time. So if it's like $50 or $100 for a couple sessions versus several $100s. So I think it's all very helpful.
And that's what Vicky did with hockey. And when all the years when we've done our big house league hockey program, it would start in November and go to what, March or April. So now we're doing two shorter sessions. One, again, in case we have to close down, we're not giving a lot of money back, but we're also not forcing people to make that long of a commitment. And then it also allows people to maybe get into the second session if they didn't get into the first session. So it tries to open up more spaces. So try to give everybody a fair shot, because we are we're going to have to limit some of our numbers of our successful programs like hockey. But if anybody has suggestions, we'll take them.
I also just want to reiterate what Brian said and what great job you've been doing. And it's fantastic. And thank you so much, Eileen, Jill, for all your hard work.
It's really
Here, Jill.
Very challenging.
It is. I have one question, or just kind of a note, and just curious. There's such a discrepancy between what a figure skater instructor and what a hockey instructor makes. And I'm just kind of curious about that.
figure skating instructor. Well, hockey instructor is a program, like Vicky probably can explain our hockey instructors. Do you know what page you're on? Oh, for the ice rink?
Yeah, the ice rink.
Oh, the range?
Time position summary.
Okay.
Down at the bottom,
Bottom.
Yeah, I would have to look. I mean, I don't know what most of our skating, obviously that's the range. I don't know. I mean, I know that lower range is she does have a couple high school assistants that would be on the low range for skating instructors. I would imagine almost all of them are at the high range of the 25 an hour.
Right. Well, yeah, only because I'm sure there's high school instructors for hockey too. No, I mean, I don't know, that it just struck me as being very, I don't know. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I would have to talk to Sarah Beth on, I mean, obviously we're competitive. If we're not competitive with our skating instructors, they're not going to come work for a few hours, because our skating instructors obviously work at all of the rinks. But I don't know, Vicky, if you know your skating, your hockey.
Yes, I'm sorry. I just found the page. I couldn't find what page you were on. No, the hockey instructor is 28 to 55. That's the current rate that we're paying the current staff that I have. So they're all adults, professional USA hockey certified coaches.
And I guess the ice skaters aren't, certified, or, I mean, that's pretty, I don't know. That's such a discrepancy between the sports, but I'm just curious.
Vicky, don't the hockey coaches have to take the USA hockey program?
I would assume so, yes.
I would think the figure skaters too, as well.
A few years ago, the range was lower, it's like 15, starting at 15. Now all the coaches that I've been hiring, they've been USA level 1, level 2, 3 certified.
Yeah.
No, I guess it's more an observation, and I think it's something we should be aware of. That's all.
Absolutely. I'll talk to Sarah Beth too.
A lot of the coaches before with hockey were on the younger side. These are older. So the quality has changed a little bit and more professional as opposed to before when there were more high school, college age. So
Is that per hour or is that per class sometimes though, Vicky?
my rate is per hour.
Because sometimes they get lumped in as a per class, and a class could be like an hour and a half or an hour and 15 versus the hourly, so.
Right. No, these are for the hockey coaches. That's what the range has been.
Take a look at that.
Per hour. Yep.
And that honestly even could be a typo on the skating school instructors too, but we'll take a look at that. I'll get back to everybody.
I think the only thing I could think of for the 10 is that when she has those little assistants.
Yeah, she has a couple high school assistants, that would be, but again, the high end is.
My real my real observation is just the discrepancy between the numbers in that the most qualified is making less than the least qualified for hockey, and that's my question.
Right, we'll take a look at that.
Okay, cool.
So did anybody else have any budgetary questions? I mean, obviously, I think we all know that we're going to be dealing with this and we're going to be making changes and the budget's going to change in 21. But the good news is, like we've always done, if we add a program or we take away a program, if we take away a program, we're not going to have the expenses. We're not going to bring in the revenue, but we're not going to have the expenses. If we add a program, we'll have corresponding revenue. We're still not running actual programs if we're not covering our costs and at least breaking even. It's the facilities of the operation of like the tennis, the park, the pool and the rink that we've agreed that if we have to take a loss on in order to provide that service, we will. But any actual program like a women's fitness, a tennis class, we are covering our expenses or we're not offering them. So there'll always be corresponding revenue with those programs. Any other questions? I am going to present, I think, on Saturday to the board. If they've got any issues or concerns, I'll certainly bring them back to you all after Saturday's meeting. But, all right, Jim, did you want to take it away?
Sure. Thanks, Jill.
Can I just interrupt 1 second, Jim? I'm sorry. I have an 8 o'clock Zoom with the fire department, so I'm going to cut out after a couple of minutes.
Okay.
I didn't want to leave
Thanks,
in the
Shane.
middle of your speech.
Thank you.
All right. This has been something that Commission and I have campaigned for better part of 2 decades. And I circulated to the members of the commission before the meeting a letter that I sent 11 years ago to the then town supervisor. And the commission has passed, I think, on 2 occasions, resolutions urging the town board to look into exercising the town's powers of eminent domain to take over the Hampshire Country Club, which has been in trouble and near bankruptcy or bankruptcy, on the verge of selling to developers, which then fell apart. Membership has fallen off and it's ripe for a takeover. When I wrote the letter 11 years ago, I think the Hampshire folks had filed a certiorari proceeding in which they put under oath that their value was about $3 million. And I urged the town board to look into this. And even if we took them for $4 million, they'd be hard pressed to complain. The board rejected the notion. I think it was a split decision, but later on the supervisor and another member of the board conceded to me that they had made a major mistake, and which they regretted. I think we had an opportunity a few years ago and the board passed on it again. Now I just figured it was a dead issue, and I've had all kinds of negative comments. The town attorneys, 2 town attorneys have felt that it can't be done. It's not feasible. I did my own research, and without any question, it disclosed that New York is the friendliest state in the country to eminent domain, and that time after time, property owners lose in court proceedings. So I'm really not buying into the negative outlooks, legal outlooks that I've had. There may be good fiscal reasons, financial reasons not to do this, but legally, I think the town is on solid footing. What brought this back to life was this past Saturday in the Journal News, the article that Harrison is going to exercise its eminent domain rights to try to take over the Willow Ridge Country Club. And, you know, it may be a different situation, I don't know, but we have always acknowledged that for a first-class community, an upscale suburban community, we, to be quite honest, a second-class or second-rate recreational community. We've always done the best. We offer terrific programs. I'm referring simply to the facilities. We don't have a real municipal pool. It's on school property that we gave away a long time ago.
Right.
I don't think we have a baseball field. All of our facilities pretty much are on school grounds, and with school having control over them. And here's an opportunity for us to take over. We don't have a golf course of any kind. Here's an opportunity for us to take over and have a municipal course, and this may be, while we have the COVID and financially things are bad, this will go on in the courts for years. By that time, hopefully, the town will have recovered financially. It just makes a lot of sense. And country clubs are now a dying breed. And people are going to be leaving country clubs. More country clubs are folding. And a municipal golf course may just be a cash cow for this town. I represented the town supervisor of one of the major Long Island towns, whom I talked to years ago about this, and he just laughed. He told me it was the biggest cash cow that their town, I think it was Brookhaven, I'm not sure, had ever had. And so I'm going to, if we want to have some discussion, great. And I'm going to propose a resolution to the town board. The suggestions were made to me earlier this year that the board was going to possibly commission a study of the legal and financial efficacy of doing this. I haven't heard a peep, and I'm assuming, whether because of the pandemic or not, that nothing has been done in that regard, and another 8 months has been lost. So that's it. I'll read the resolution, and then maybe we can talk about it.
Jim, can I just correct some of the information? First,
absolutely.
The town several years ago did not pass on it. We did make an $11 million offer on the property. Ultimately, it was sold for $12 million to the developer. I have spoken to the supervisor of the town of Harrison. There are some major distinctions between the two facilities. One that, right now, Hampshire is in litigation with the village of Mamaroneck, which does have a bearing on a condemnation. The pool facilities at Willow Ridge are considerably different from Hampshire. The reason we could not engage the study that Jim is referring to, it was going to be part of the comprehensive plan study. Recreation is one of the major components of the comprehensive study. And so we were going to look at, as Jim indicated, we were going to look at what was the financial feasibility. I mean, condemnation's a win-win. A municipal government's never going to lose a condemnation. It's going to be a function, and we know that going in. The function's going to be, what's the exposure going to be, and what's the value of the property. The certiorari value of $4 million is unfortunately not admissible as part of a condemnation proceeding. So we're looking at a value that's going to be significantly higher. I think everybody would love to see the own Hampshire and run as a facility, but there are some differences. I think one of the things, Jim, was right now, it's a good time for us to sit in the weeds and see how Harrison goes about it. So they may write the playbook for us. And by that time, hopefully the litigation between the village and Hampshire will be resolved, but that could end up being, depending on how that litigation goes, that could establish a rather significant value for Hampshire if the developer were to win the lawsuit. So, you know, I think the resolution's a good idea, but, you know, we haven't dropped it from the agenda. It just got pushed back when COVID sort of took over the entire town operation for a period of time.
Well, I guess what I want to do is just try to rekindle the fire under the board. And also something I didn't mention, I'm aware, I think that part of the land is on village property. And so I thought part of it was on village, part on town.
Most of it's village. We have
Okay.
7 acres in the town.
All right, but the village has most of the land, the town probably has deeper pockets. What I was gonna propose, if it's feasible, is that this be done in conjunction with the village, because otherwise, I think then we could if we didn't do it with the village, we could wind up in court battles, not only against the Hampshire, but against the village.
The village, yeah.
So that being said, and I'm throwing this out there, resolved that the town board commission an independent consultant to provide a report as to both the likely costs and the efficacy of exercising the town's eminent domain powers to appropriate the Hampshire Country Club. That if feasible, the town should consider doing this in conjunction with the village of Mamaroneck. This facility has the potential to provide the residents of the town and the village with, among other things, a municipal golf course, a municipal pool, municipal tennis courts, and possibly a restaurant that could be operated by a qualified individual or entity. So that's what I would like to propose. And for the minutes, I can send in I can email you a copy of it.
Send that on, and then we can also play the recording back too to capture that too. But
Sure.
it might help if you just send me what you got there, Jim.
Will do.
I do have a question. Would the village of Larchmont be involved at all? I know they don't have land, but
I
could
thought
they-
about that. It would be nice. I think it would be a good idea but you know, the board could decide that. I don't want to make this too complicated.
Mhm.
I'd like to see all 3 municipalities.
Municipalities, yes.
I really would.
Yeah, that'd be
think
You know,
great.
we looked into, and this was not in my self-interest. I was a member of Bonnie Briar, but thinking about the town, I was actually urging at one point the town to consider Bonnie Briar.
Right.
They did. That just wasn't feasible. The parking situation is
Oh,
completely.
it's terrible.
The pool was going to have to be destroyed and moved in order to make room for a parking lot. And that just wasn't feasible. The Hampshire has its issues, and obviously, and it's not going to be an inexpensive thing, but it is more economically feasible than Bonnie Briar or any place else around. They've lost a number of court fights. They're vulnerable. And we just might be able to get it on the cheap. And again, we wouldn't have to put up the money now. This thing will go on in the
Courts, yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5 years. But somebody needs to start the ball rolling.
And I have one other question, just quickly. What about community, the surrounding community? Would there be support, do you think? I know they've been against the development, which is different, of course. But-
We had, some of them were actually going to write a letter if this thing got pushed. I have some friends who live on Cove Road.
Mhm.
And they're involved in the community association. They spoke to friends of theirs. And I was surprised because I thought that they would be opposed to it. They said they would prefer it to development. I forget
Right.
the reasons, but they said they would far prefer to have the municipal
Oh, well,
golf
that's
course
encouraging
club
too.
there.
Yeah,
and to have condominiums and,
right. That's far more cars and,
yes.
okay. It sounds good that would be amazing.
It really would be. It'd be
It
a
would,
great
it'd be
legacy.
wonderful.
Be a great legacy for the town board to leave to for the residents. And also the point I forgot to make that I made back in my 09 letter, I think, realtors would love this because property values would go up.
Up.
A municipal golf course and tennis courts and everything. It's something that realtors would take their clients to show off and to brag about, rather than taking them over to a junior high school and saying, here's the town pool.
Cool. Right. Oh, good. Good, Jim.
So if there's no other discussion, I would throw out
So,
this resolution
Jim,
for a vote.
Hey, Jim, I have a question. So,
Shoot.
so I'm definitely in favor of this. I like just kind of the opportunity it presents to the town and the villages as well. What do you, and so you talked about some of the, like, it means there's definitely going to be a lot of involvement as far as like making it happen. It doesn't come without problems. What do you see are some risks as far as maybe not the development of it and getting it up and running, but either just like kind of demand that the pool might go down, like the current high school pool or the middle school pool would go down, or is there some other risks that you see that we'll have to work through as a community?
Steve would be able to appraise the risk better than I would, but one risk, to be candid with you, that I think exists out there, and Steve would know, is the watershed issue. And I know they've had flooding in the past. Somebody drowned there 7 or 8 years ago. I think his car got swept away
Oh,
by
yeah.
the rising waters. That's something that a study would have to evaluate, the cost of that and whether or not that could be cured, or whether we're going to have a golf course that after spending $10-12 million, whatever it is, we'd have a golf course that looks like a lake for.
Yes, underwater. Yeah.
They do lose a lot of days in golf. The advantage of the site is the site offers us I won't call it a beach, but it offers a small waterfront, for instance, for if Jill wanted to run kayaking programs or programs, kayaking, rowing, canoeing, I don't know, whatever you call it. So that's one advantage of the facility. It is a lot of acreage. There was some debate as to whether, when we looked into Hampshire the first time, there was a question as to whether we should run a golf course, an 18-hole golf course. Should we run a 9-hole golf course, or do you run what they call an executive golf course, which is a par 3? So there are examples of all of those. The 18-hole course tends to be obviously the most expensive to run. The risk, I think, is the cost of the investment, and then what is it that we can reasonably charge the residents for membership. You would generally offer multiple types of memberships. You'd offer what they call like a sports membership, which might be tennis and the pool, a full membership, which is golf, tennis, and pool, a pool membership, a golf membership. There was some discussion with the USGA when we were going back and forth on them with the Open. They evidently run throughout the country what they call golf training centers, where they'll have a driving range, they'll have maybe 2 or 3 holes of par 3, and then they'll run various facilities that one could train in. And that might be attractive to some. So there, as Jim mentioned, there are a myriad of options to consider with this. So the risk is the value of the property that the town would incur in a condemnation and getting back that investment, and then the investment in the facility itself. We know the pool is insufficient for the town's use. So it would be a complete rebuild of the pool, and then whatever renovations would be made, whether we run a golf course, whether we run a par 3 golf course, whether we do playing fields with hiking paths in it. I agree with Jim, we probably would contract out the running of the clubhouse to, for a restaurant. It could run a catering facility for which the town would get a percentage of the benefits. There are just a lot of different options. So I see the risk as what's the total investment going to be, and what will a court decide is the value of condemnation based on what we know.
And one big question would be the recapture period. Just a number, just for the sake of a number, if we put out $10 million, would it take 5 years, 10 years to recover that? That would be, the experts could tell us that. Or would it take 50 years to recover it? In which case it wouldn't be feasible. But I think that There are a lot of questions that could be answered if we commissioned a study.
Mhm.
And as I said, that was to be a component of the comprehensive plan. The board now is back in, we're trying to move out of COVID. We know COVID's always in the back of our mind, but we're trying to go back to some sense of normalcy. So we have had a couple of meetings with the consultant that's going to do the comprehensive plan. And hopefully we're going to kick off the public engagement process in the next several months. Originally, the thought was to put it off, but some feel maybe we should get going with it. Since so many people are home, we may actually get more public input than we initially hoped for. So, but the study is something that was going to be part of that whole process, which originally was to have started last April. So,
Yeah.
So that's a great idea to get it going again, Jim. That's good.
And I guess you second the resolution. Okay. Unless anyone else has any comments, we'll put it to a vote. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone
Aye.
opposed?
Oh, look at his thumb.
All right, it's unanimous.
I get a thumb like Brian.
That's cute. I like that.
All right, we'll get it typed up and I'll run it over to the town center at midnight tonight.
Okay. I'll wait here. I'll wait at the door. And then you can just stay in line and cast your vote while you're here.
Okay. All right, is that concluded?
6 a.m. to cast his vote.
All right, anybody else?
No?
All good.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Great. Well,
Aye.
thank you,
Good
everybody.
night, all.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Thanks,
Good-
Steve.
everybody.
Yeah.
Goldfish.
Good night.
Good night,
Goldfish.
everybody. Talk to you all soon.
Oh,
I knew I was missing something.
torture me,
What?
little.
I didn't eat them in front of you. I'm saving them.
All right,
I keep getting fresh ones.
all right,
All right,
take
thanks,
care, everyone.
everybody. Much
Bye-bye.
Jill, thank
appreciated.
you.
Thanks for the input, everyone. Talk to you soon.